So let's get into Allen and Jones, brothers in Christ, bonded by faith. Absalom Jones was Absalom Jones was born into slavery in Sussex, Delaware in 1746. He taught himself to read in his early teens from books purchased by saving pennies given given to him by visitors to his master's home. At age 16, Jones' family was separated when his immediate family members were sold and taken to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania by his new owner. Jones worked as a clerk in his owner's store by day and was allowed to work for himself and attend an all-black school at night. In 1770, Jones married a fellow slave. Through hard work and the help of his friends and father-in-law, he was able to buy his wife's freedom. Jones saved enough to purchase his own freedom in 1784. I just want to point out to all the men listening, to all the young men listening, he purchased his wife's freedom before he purchased his own, long before he purchased his own, a full 14 years. It's a lot of men out there, young men, and men, older men who put themselves before they put their wives. And I just want to point out this great brother purchased his wife's freedom before he purchased his own. He was an active member of St. George's Methodist Episcopal Church in Philadelphia and served as a lay preacher for the black members of the congregation. In 1786, Richard Allen joined Jones at church, and their futures would forever be entwined. The black membership at St. George's increased tenfold as a result of the evangelistic efforts of Jones and Allen. But this increase was not welcomed by the white members of the congregation. Instead of praising their efforts, church officials responded by attempting to segregate the black congregants. During a Sunday service in November in 1786, ushers attempted to remove all blacks, including Jones, from the main floor of the church to the balcony. Jones, Allen, and the black members of the congregation promptly left the church as a group. Jones and Allen subsequently founded the Free African Society on April 12, 1787. Members of this organization met regularly and paid dues, which were used to benefit those in need. This organization was crucial in caring for the sick and dying of Philadelphia when a yellow fever epidemic swept the city in 1793. Out of this society grew the African Church, organized on July 7, 1791. Both Jones and Allen wanted to remain affiliated with the Methodist Church, but their followers overwhelmingly voted to affiliate themselves with the Episcopal Church as a result of their persecution by the Methodists at St. George's. Allen disagreed with this decision and withdrew from the African Church, taking a small number of followers with him. Jones remained as the leader of the African Church, which was formally received into the Episcopal Diocese of Philadelphia on October 17, 1794, and renamed St. Thomas African Episcopal Church. St. Thomas was the first black Episcopal parish in the United States. Bishop William White ordained Jones a deacon in the Episcopal Church in 1795 and as a priest in 1804. Jones became the first ordained priest of African descent in the United States. Despite the split from the African Church, Jones and Allen continued to work together. They were among the founders of the African Masonic Lodge in Philadelphia in 1798. The two men also led the black community in petitioning the Pennsylvania state legislature for the abolition of slavery in 1799. In 1800, they sent a similar petition to the United States Congress. Jones and Allen also founded the Society for the Suppression of Vice and Immorality in 1809. In 1816, Jones saw his friend Allen consecrated the first bishop of the newly formed African Methodist Episcopal Church. And in 1817, The two men were united again when they condemned the newly formed American Colonization Society, which encouraged free slaves to return to Africa. 1 year later, Absalom Jones died at his home in Philadelphia, February 13th, 1818. Born into slavery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on February 14th, 1760, Richard Allen went on to become an educator, writer, minister, and founder of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. At age 17, Allen was converted to Methodism by an itinerant preacher. That word always messed me up. I apologize. In 1783, by working at odd jobs for 5 years, Allen managed to purchase his freedom for $2,000. In the meantime, Allen began to preach in the Methodist churches and meetings in the Baltimore area. Through his Methodist connections, Allen was invited to return to Philadelphia in 1786. Upon arriving in the city, he joined St. George's Methodist Episcopal Church, where he became active in teaching and preaching. As the number of African American attending St. George's increased, racial tensions mounted. Allen preached at 5 a.m. in several services on Sunday mornings to approximately 50 African American Methodists. When they attended the regular morning service, segregated seating was instituted. With this segregation, Allen became convinced that a separate church was necessary for the Black congregants. In 1787, Allen and a number of other African American Methodists walked out and formed a separate church that would become Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church, the first Methodist church in the United States specifically for African Americans. 7 years later, on July 29th, 1794, Bethel was dedicated by Bishop Francis Asbury. Richard Allen served Bethel Church as its pastor, and he was ordained a deacon by Asbury in 1799. Other African Methodist churches were formed in New York, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland. On April 9th, 1816, after 2 decades of conflict with white Methodism, Allen and other African American Methodist preachers hosted a meeting in Philadelphia to bring these churches together to form a new denomination, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, AME. Allen was elected bishop with his consecration, became the first African American bishop in the United States. By the time Allen died at his home on March 26, 1831, the AME Church was well established in the United States and supported missions in several countries overseas. In closing, it's my opinion that Jones and Allen are essential to the development of the Black church, and the Black church is essential to Black history. As such, the legacy of these two great men lies within each of us. Let us act accordingly. To arise out of the dust and shake ourselves and throw off that servile fear that the habit of oppression and bondage trained us up in. And in meekness and fear, we would desire to walk in the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free. That's a quote from Absalom Jones. Though I can't do it justice, I appreciate you all bearing with me. For those who want to know where this information came from, I put in some references that you can go do this research for yourselves, look into these two great men, what their contributions were to our history. I think it's essential to us as a people to know and understand what these two men did and contributed. With that being said, Black history is 24/7, 365, so stay tuned. We make Black history every single day. With that being said, this is your brother DMG the Poet, aka Brother Doug, aka Brother Pianki, and we'll be back at it again. Y'all stay tuned. That is peace.